Alright guys, so here are my notes for after two-step equations. We're going to take a look at the next step with solving equations. And that's going to be equations with variables on both sides. So that being said, the last couple days we've been looking at things that look like this. Anyone know specifically what's that called? Not just an equation, but what type of equation? That's a one-step equation. And it's a one-step equation because it takes one step to solve. So then after that, we looked at this. And that is a, hopefully everyone's able to say or think, two-step equation. Right? Because there's two things you have to get rid of. You have to get rid of that 2 and that 3. Now the next step is not called a three-step equation because there's technically a bunch of different ways you could solve it. If you do it the way that I'm going to show you today, then it technically is a three-step equation, or it will take 3 steps to solve. So the type of equation we're going to look at today looks like this. We just call this a multi-step equation. I like to call it an equation with variables on both sides. Does everyone see there's the 5x on the left and the 2x on the right? So what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to turn this into this one up here. Because you know how to solve a two-step equation if you have already watched this one. So that being said, let's do it. Now, wouldn't it be nice if I could just erase that 5x, if I could take it away from this problem? Because then, wouldn't that just be a two-step equation like I said? It's not that simple, unfortunately. We can't just wave a magic wand and get rid of something. So instead, we have a little technique or something in math that means take away. So what means take away in math? How can I take that 5x away? Well, hopefully you're thinking I can subtract 5x, which would be super nice. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to either take away that 5x, or we could also take away that 2x. In fact, I'm going to take away that 2x here. And the reason being is if I take away 2x from both sides, because this mirror makes me take it away from the other side, you're not going to have any negatives. If you were to take away that 5x, you would get a negative 3x on the right side. So I'm going to take away 2x from this side, and that will make 0. All that's left now is 8, which is good because now all the variables are going to be on one side. It's going to be a two-step equation. And 5x minus 2x is going to give me my 3x plus 2 is equal to 8. It's the same exact equation that we talked about up here. It's now our two-step equation, and we all know how to solve that. Just a little review on how to solve that. Remember, I have to get rid of the thing that I'm not attached to first, so I'm going to minus 2. My mirror makes me minus 2 on this side, so now I end up getting 3x is 6. Divide both sides by the same thing, because our mirror, again, 3, and 1x is equal to 2. All right? So that's really what these notes are going to be about. Before we get into solving a couple more and getting good with it, I want us to write this down. We're going to write this down for our next notes as well. It's our steps for solving equations. And there's going to be 4 of them every single time. And we've already done 3 and 4. 4 is just our techniques for solving a one-step. That's things like, if it says times 3, you need to divide by 3 to get rid of it. Number 3 is just our techniques for solving a two-step equation. That's our, which number should I get rid of first? The thing that I'm not attached to, obviously. Today, we're going to look at number 2, and number 1 is going to be on next notes, so we're not going to talk about that today. Number 2, or the big one, is get all variables to one side. Now, the way that I'm going to show you today is not the only way that works. This one will always kick it into a two-step equation, though. And hopefully, if you're watching a video like this, you're pretty good at two-step equations by now, which is why I like to make it something that we're familiar with. So let's take a look at a couple examples. This should be pretty short after this now. So our next example that we're going to look at is 7n minus 5 equals 10n plus 13. Just like always with equations, I'm going to draw my line down to separate both sides. And just like I said before, I'm going to try to get rid of one of these variables. Because if this 7n was not here, this would just be a two-step equation. And I know how to do those. It's pretty easy. So let's take away the smaller variable. So which one's smaller, 7 or 10n? Obviously 7, so let's take it away. I'm going to subtract 7n from this side, and then because my mirror makes me do it to the other side, I'm going to subtract 7n, and I'm going to put it underneath the 10n, just because those are my like terms. One thing that a lot of students mess up on is right here. What drops down on the left side? Not just 5, but negative 5 is equal to 3n's plus 13. And now, just like we said it was going to be, it's a two-step equation. So what should I get rid of first with my two-step equation? The thing that's attached to my n, that 3, or that 13? Well, hopefully you're thinking the 13, so let's minus 13 on both sides. And when I do that, that makes 0. Negative 5 minus 13 is negative 18 is equal to 3n. Divide both sides by 3. And n is, hopefully some of you guys are thinking already, negative 6. All right? Give you guys a second to finish copying that down, and I'll move on to the next example, and really that's it for these notes. So this next example tackles two questions that will come up with this. The first one is, what do I do if there's a negative amount of something, like negative 5x? How do I take that away from the problem? Well, how do I make that 0? I'm going to add 5x. But if I add 5x to one side, I also have to add 5x to the other side. And now when I do that, 10x plus 5x gives me my 15x's. Okay? Let me fix that up a little bit, 15x. The other question that some people have is, what if there's only one term over here? Well, there's nothing wrong with it. Instead of being a two-step equation, now it's just a one-step equation. So we skipped that third step altogether, which isn't bad. It's just, now let's just divide by 15, and that's it. So now that I've just divided by 15, I'm going to divide 60 by 15 and get 4. All right? So last one, I would like you to try on your own. I'm going to write it up here. I would like you to pause the video, try it on your own, and then when you're confident with yourself, unpause it, and we can see how we did. Minus 4y. All right, so this is 14 plus 5y is equal to 50 minus 4y. Try it, pause, and then check it when you're done. All right, so hopefully you guys think you got this. Which set of y's is the smaller one? Which one should I get rid of first? Obviously, this negative 4y by adding 4y. And if I add 4y on one side, I'm going to add 4y on the other side. That makes 0. I end up getting 14 plus 9y is 50. Now that I have that, I'm going to subtract 14 on both sides, because it's the thing that's not attached. I'm going to drop down that positive 9y is 50 minus 14 is 36. And then divide both sides by 9, and y is 4. All right? So the last thing I want to talk about on this video, and then we're done, is what that means. Y is 4. So on your homework, this is going to be the very first question. What you can do with that, so what I can do with that 4 now is I can actually plug that back up into this equation. This 14 plus 5y is equal to 50 minus 4y. And both sides should be equal, because remember, a solution like that is what makes both sides the same, or what makes it a true math sentence. So I'm going to plug that 4 into both of these. I might take this to a new page so it's a little bit easier for us to see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually multiply all this stuff out. So I'm going to go 5 times 4 and get 20 plus 14. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. 4 times 4 is 16. So I'm going to go 50 minus 16. So if this really is the answer, that 4 really is the solution, both sides should be equal. So I'm going to go 2 plus 1 is 3, 4 plus 0 is 4, and 50 minus 16, 4, 4, and 3. Both sides are 34. So on number 1, when you guys have to check if something is the correct solution or not, that's what they're asking for you to do. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching the video. Hopefully this helps.